Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
Hey, and welcome to another great episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey. I am your host, and you are with me today as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough the gem of Norfolk County. Joining me today is a frequent return traveler, I will call him.
Morning, Bob.
One of my favorite guests, Jim DeVellis, selectman, and volunteer in many ways, and we'll get to that. And also, Eagle Scout candidate and member of Troop 7, Foxborough BSA, Declan Maloney. Declan, nice to have you with us today on the show. How's everybody doing?
Good, good.
Doing great.
You're doing great?
Doing great.
I'm glad because one of the things that we like to do here at Foxborough Central is promote really cool projects. And this is one of the coolest projects. And this is a piece of a larger project. And Jim, you've been on, I may call you Jim.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. I'll call you Jim anyway. You've been on the program before to talk about the turf field and all of the work that's gone into making that dream a reality, going back to donations, fundraising, through design development, getting it past a town meeting. And now that it's been installed and it's doing everything, we were just talking about, I'm not sure when you're watching this, but this past weekend there was a lot of rain and they were able to play on the field, lacrosse on the field in the rain, and no damage to the field.
No, and if just for a second, it was supposed to be played on the grass field down at the state hospital, and at the last minute, because it was pouring all morning, they moved it to the turf field. And I got to say, Foxborough Cable Access was out there with their cameras, and you can look at all the equipment still drying out 2 days later, pouring rain. But thank you guys, the volunteers at Cable Access. Kids love to watch it on the on the TV a few days later, and it was great to see the Cable Access out there.
Well, thank you for the shout out, and I suppose that's a great segue into why we're here today, and Ms. Maloney will get to you in a second, but volunteers are what drive Foxborough Cable Access, and volunteers really are what drive our town as far as a government structure as well as getting things done. And from the different civic organizations, I've been a member of the JCs for years, there's so many different ways to give back in our community, and that's one of the really nice things about this program is that we're able to highlight this. So what we're highlighting today is, we'll call it Chapter 3 of the development of the high school playing fields, and then bringing in the Scouts, which is something that I never would have thought of, but as we get into this conversation, it makes perfect sense. So I'm so glad to be here with you. And Jim, maybe you can introduce us to why we're here today.
Yeah, I'll just bring it up to where we are right now, and then I'd like to introduce Declan. So 3 or 4 years ago, a local Turf's Up volunteer group committed to raising money and doing the design and construction assistance for the turf field. Part of that project was where we were building the turf fields out back behind the high school. We were going to build a baseball field, a softball field, a field hockey field. There's an all-purpose field in a parking lot, and that sits right next to Hersey Field. So the turf field is up and running. That came online in the fall, and we're wrapping up the backfields. Part of the design process, because in the back, even though it used to be the old septic system for the high school, there was buildings and pipes and what have you back there. We cleaned all that up, but we were working within 100 feet of the wetlands. So we had to design it in front of the Conservation Commission, and during that process, we wanted to bring in a little bit more community involvement for 2 reasons. At the front of the high school, all of the existing parking lots, all of the drainage comes around the back, goes down to a swale alongside the Hersey Field, and then into the wetlands, which is right next to where the community farm is, down in that area. So it was a good opportunity to see if we could slow down that water that runs off the parking lots, clean it up with plants and vegetation, let it recharge into the ground. So we talked to the Conservation Commission about that. And then as we were cutting down the trees, we were thinking, where are all the birds going to go? People just develop and the other stuff goes where it goes. So we thought it would be nice to put some type of a wildlife for the birds and the bats for mosquito controls up and around the perimeter. And there's like 5 or 6 acres back there. So we got it approved through the Conservation Commission, and we suggested we will be back with a community outreach that kind of brings a little more personal touch. So I can explain exactly where it is, and then I'll introduce Declan to kind of put it in perspective.
Excellent. So this here is a representation of the fields as they're going to be, and this is
That's the turf field.
Field.
So as you come up from South Street, you come up. These are all the existing parking lots. Here's the high school. Here's the turf field. We're showing a track just for master planning if it ever comes. But as you come behind the high school, you have a parking lot, baseball, softball, a practice field, and field hockey. So that's all going to be in the back. And this is the Hersey field. So all of this runoff from the parking lot that could have oils and grit and things from tires comes down here and runs along here. So I kind of put the feelers out to see if somebody would be interested in doing plantings along this swale and then enhancing all around here, and actually we're bringing it back up to around the Sam Burns community field up in that area. So I kind of did the call out, and that's when Declan stepped up. Hadn't met Declan before, but we've had a good couple months of kind of designing and exchanging ideas, and I'm ready to just pass it over, and he's got a good plan ahead of him.
Well, in the interest of full disclosure, I am a former scout leader with PAC 70, and I first met Mr. Maloney, Declan, when he was let's see, you came into me as a bear.
I'm not sure.
Second grade.
Second grade.
That's a long time.
It was a very long time ago.
So it's been great to see you as you've grown and grown up through scouting, and as well as you're now a junior at
Southeastern. Yep.
And that is an interesting piece, because this is a project to benefit the Foxborough High School. You don't even go to the high school.
No.
So that's really, truly a community give back here.
Yeah. Well, I've been part of the community my whole life, and it's good to be able to do something to give back to it. And
your parents, Denise and Phil, both live here in Foxborough, and you're one of my neighbors up on Baker Street, which is, I guess, how you stumbled into my little den. And many Thursday nights in my garage, we've built many things, and one of the things we built back in the day were
birdhouses.
Birdhouses.
We would build birdhouses.
Birdhouses.
Look at that.
There we go.
And what I have here, of course, Declan, being a good scout, he took his, and I'm sure it's hanging in his backyard, enjoyed by birds, maybe. I'm sure you didn't burn it or anything, right?
No,
you wouldn't do that.
like that. No.
But this is some handiwork from the Den 2 Dragons back in the day.
Long time ago.
Back in the day. I understand that the design that you have for the birdhouses proposed for the high school are just a little more intricate than these.
Hopefully they'll come out a little bit nicer than these.
A little bit, well, don't say nicer. I would just say different.
Improved.
Much improved.
And also, I understand that you have a tool list of things that you're looking to buy and acquire to help with this project. So let me be the first. This is actually, I don't know if you can pick this up in the camera, but this is Declan's, what do you call this, a tri-square from back in the day. You did leave this in my garage.
I did leave this in your garage.
I now give it back
9 years ago, I left this in your garage.
9 years ago.
I assume that your handwriting has gotten a little bit better since then, because as part of an Eagle Scout project, and I know this from my work with Scouts, it's a pretty involved process. There's a binder, you've got an application you have to put together, you have to present it before an Eagle Board of review, and then they have to approve your project before you can even start. So you've done a lot of background work. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this project and what's gone into it so far?
All right. Well, it all started a couple months ago now, when your wife, Mrs. Hickey, actually came up to me and told me that they were planning on building some birdhouses. And that's all she told me, and to talk to Jim DeVellis, the selectman. And she gave me his phone number, and I was like, all right, I can build birdhouses. So I call up Mr. DeVellis, we start talking, we exchange some emails, and we get together, we start talking about what this actually is, and turns out it was a lot bigger than just a couple of birdhouses.
It's not just a few birdhouses?
It's not just a few birdhouses.
How many birdhouses are we talking about?
We're talking about 140 birdhouses and 20 bat houses.
140 birdhouses and 20 bat houses.
Yep. It's a lot of birdhouses. Very ambitious.
So we mention it's small, then we reel them in.
May I just say that's the perfect way to volunteer, and for anybody out at home looking to get volunteers, this is exactly the way to do it. So shout out to my wife Kathy for reeling them in nicely, and good job, Jim. So Declan, now that you're officially a member of the volunteer community by taking on a way too large project, let's talk.
Okay, well, it doesn't just stop at the birdhouses either.
Oh, it doesn't?
No,
No,
there's more than that. That'd be way too easy. No.
Easy.
So what we're also planning on doing is in the drainage swell, set up what they call check dams, and that's basically just to regulate the water flow that comes in through there.
Okay.
And along those check dams, we'll be putting up like plantings, like little bushes and buried shrubs and things like that, not only to help become like a natural filter for, like Jim said, some of the runoff from the parking lot, but also to provide berries and food and stuff like that for the wildlife and the birds that hopefully come and inhabit our 140 birdhouses.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is a very ambitious project that's developed.
A little bigger than I think when he thought when he came.
Much bigger than what I thought it was going
But
to be.
it sounds like you're helping to create this project.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the project. This is a huge outlay of time and material. And I know that with an Eagle Scout project, there are certain components. You have to do fundraising, you have to gather volunteers, and you have to create a project plan. So let's talk about fundraising. Are you going to pay for all this yourself?
Yeah, out of my allowance.
Okay,
no,
good.
No.
You've got great parents.
Well, what we're planning to do is on this upcoming Armed Forces Day, we're going to be setting up a booth and basically allowing people to come and sponsor a birdhouse. So if you give us $25, we will give you a number, and that number is your birdhouse number. And when we put them all up, all of our birdhouses will be numbered. And if you leave us your email, we can email you a map of where all the numbered birdhouses got put. And so you can go and enjoy your numbered birdhouse that you helped sponsor and you helped put up there.
What a cool idea. So it's sponsored birdhouse, and it becomes part of the permanent landscape up there with the tracking, so that way people can see exactly where their donation went.
Exactly.
What a sharp idea. So 140 birdhouses and 20 bat houses.
Yep.
Impressive.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
Come a long way.
And that's happening this Armed Forces Day, which is coming up on March 17th.
It'd be May 17th.
No worries, but it's important because folks at home who may want to contribute and sponsor a birdhouse should on May 17th, Armed Forces Day. And where will this be set up at?
The town center.
Okay, so right here, come to the center of town and locate the stand. You'll be there, and you'll have all the sign-up materials, be taking donations. Now, not everybody's going to be able to make it there, and I'm sure there are going to be some people who want to support this project. They can get a hold of you by telephone and also by email if they want to help out with sponsorship, if they want to help out with just getting more information. They can call you at 617-335-3188. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, I got that right. Or they could email you at declanpm@gmail.com. That's DECLAN, P as in Paul, M as in Mary, @gmail.com.
That's right. And we're also planning to do that this Founders Day as well. The same thing, accepting donations to sponsor the birdhouses.
Excellent. So people don't have to wait till Armed Forces Day to get in touch with Declan, but if they want to, they can come to the Common on May 17th. Now, there's also going to be, and I'm cheating because I'm looking at my notes, obviously. I'm not that smart to remember all this. You have the whole project plan in your head, I'm sure. At Founders Day, you're also doing something.
That's right. Yep, we'll be doing the same thing, asking for sponsorships. You can come, leave your email. Same setup, just at Founders Day.
Well, Founders Day is a great day for, and again, a shameless plug for anybody at home who might be thinking of going out of town for Founders Day. Founders Day really is Foxborough's day, and it's such a special day from the all the events, the parade, and the field events. And this year, I don't know any of us who won't be thinking back when they used to have the dances up at Lakeview Pavilion with the tragic fire that happened up there. It's sort of the whole continuity of I'll just call it life here in Foxborough. That's a piece of our fabric that is gone. And I think Founders Day is just a great way to get together, even with fireworks at night, just to get together and enjoy all that is being Foxborough. And volunteerism is such a key piece of our community. What a great story to tell at Founders Day. Everybody's got to get their birdhouse. Anybody at home, if you don't have a birdhouse and you want a birdhouse, this is the way to get a birdhouse, and you don't have to clean it out. Now, we talked before about, I make joke of it, but obviously I'm getting into somewhere here. Yeah. These designs, while they were extremely good when I was helping you design these birdhouses, the design is a little bit better. And let's talk a little bit about what you're actually doing.
Well, the designs for the birdhouses will probably end up looking a little bit like these. There'll actually be a hole in it so the bird can go inside. This
You didn't
one
put a hole in
can't
it?
get, can't get in that one.
This one is the best example.
That's the
all right.
low income
Well,
house.
By the way, this kid who made this is a great kid, so let's not knock that.
Okay. Well,
Says
yeah.
Bob on the
There
back.
we go. We'll have to use one of these two
Yeah.
examples.
So they'll probably look a little bit like this one, except much taller, and the top will actually be able to open. It'll be on a hinge. So every year, we can go out there and clean them up and keep the birds using them so they can be up there for
Wow.
a long time.
So this sounds like a very a permanent project, but also a very important one. Yeah. So was this mandated by the Conservation Commission, or was this sort of just an agreed upon way to improve the area to make it?
I think it was, yeah, it was a, anytime you're working within 100 feet of the wetlands, they have the power, the ability to ask. Most of this stuff is going to happen outside of the wetlands, but it was kind of a give and take, and it was just the right thing to do, and they were very receptive on it.
Yeah, and pardon me, and you both know how my mind works sometimes, but this just reminds me of the Long-Lifted Lorax, the Dr. Seuss book, where they cut down all the trees and there was nothing left for the animals and everything.
And that's a simple
and
concept.
So this is a great way to really make sure that the environment up and around the high school is not negatively, and in fact is enhanced by all the construction that's going on with the baseball. And by the way, I've been up there. They're beautiful fields. I can't wait to be
getting there,
on the fields next year. So
fantastic.
That work is going along nicely, and the turf field, of course, looks beautiful. So it's great to see that the project doesn't end with just that. It's going to be all-encompassing. So what a cool
I think
story.
A little remiss if you don't mention, and I'll say it, so it's not just a one and done, and Declan does it and walks away. He's raising money also to give to the school. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
So some of the money that we'll be getting from the sponsorships will also be going into a fund that we're going to give back to the Foxborough High School to help with the maintaining of the check dams and the birdhouses.
So there's no check dams there now. No. And yet the swales the swales don't really exist either. What's going on now is it's pretty much a straight drain off from the parking lots going back into the wetlands area.
Yeah, and what you'll see is a lot of coffee cups, old cigarette butts.
We've all been up
in
there, we know,
people just throw it in. What the hope is, once it's all planted and you've got the grasses and the plants and the check dams to slow it down, it filters. The last component is Declan's planning on putting some signage, some very tasteful low signage that basically says, hey, this is a community project. The Scouts worked hard on it. Here's the cloud, the rain, the whole system of life to clean our aquifers, and we need water. So when people walk by there, it's kind of a sustainable, low impact type, hey, this is kind of nice. Maybe I won't throw my cup in there, or maybe I'll, work hard to upkeep it. And with the funds that he's given to the school, not a lot of maintenance, but it's something that would live on and work nice with the environment.
Which keys right into another project going on town same day on Armed Forces Day with the community cleanup. AJ Dooley and Jack Othelette have gotten together to make this an annual event, and so that feeds right into that. And of course, it'll be on the same day as your first registration, which again should bring a lot of people in and be great publicity as well as a way to be able to get in touch with you. And of course, if people don't come down on Community Cleanup Day and don't come down to see you on Armed Forces Day on May 17th and don't come down to see you on Founders Day on June 7th, and by the way, anybody at home, if you can't make it down to Founders Day, come on, of course you can. But they can get a hold of Declan at 617-335-3188 or email you at declanpm@gmail.com. So there's now going to be signage. There's now going to be check dams to control water flow so it doesn't come rushing through and wash things out. There's going to be plantings of berries and other things that wildlife like to eat. There's going to be 140 bird houses and 20 bat houses.
Yes.
Sounds phenomenal. Yeah. This sounds like quite the project.
It's a large project.
This is going to be one of those legacy projects, my friend.
Yeah. And also, Declan's done a nice job. He's reached out to local businesses.
Well, let's talk about that. Sponsorships?
Well, I'm looking into getting sponsorships from Home Depot and Lowe's for some of the lumber that's going to be required.
It's going to be a lot of lumber required.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of lumber required. And we've also been talking to the Schneider Electric Company.
Who just purchased Inventus.
Yes.
And are now our local employer here.
Yep.
And a direct abutter.
And a direct abutter. There you go.
Yeah, and they're going to help with sending volunteers and stuff to help with the putting up of the birdhouses and things like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Already becoming a piece of the community.
Yeah.
And Brackett, you might want to mention
and
Buddy.
Buddy Brackett is also helping out with the plantings and helping to teach any volunteers that want to come exactly how to plant these so they don't mess them up. And
Fantastic. I always like to give a shout out to Brackett Landscaping.
Yeah.
They do a lot of good work here in town, a lot of volunteers. And so
Yes, they do.
that is quite the spectrum of groups or businesses that are supporting this. So you're looking for people to volunteer, you're looking for fundraising, and you're looking for people to sponsor birdhouses.
That's right.
And
That's
bat
right.
houses.
Yep.
That's not too much to ask for.
No, not at all.
No, easy, right?
Yeah.
In addition to going to school full time.
Yes,
and,
keep my grades up and doing other Boy Scout events.
Yes. And you're currently the senior patrol leader of Troop 7 in Foxborough.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Sponsored by the Bethany Church.
Yep.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And you're well on your way to Eagle, it sounds like. So again, one last time for folks at home, I'm going to give you the last word once I wrap up my spiel. If you want to get a hold of Declan and support the birdhouse, bat house, swale, check dam, berry planting, and conservation signage project, I got them all right, at the high school, get a hold of Declan at 617-335-3188. Email him at declanpm@gmail.com. Of course, you can catch this in any other episode of Foxborough Central by clicking on fcatv.org. Go to the Foxborough Central tab and you can see this project and you get all the details again. We will see you on either May 17th, Armed Forces Day, up here at the Common to register to get your birdhouse, or at Founders Day on June 7th. That is the perfect time for you to come down, meet Declan, and get yourself involved in this project, either to sponsor a birdhouse or find out how you can volunteer. Last word, gentlemen.
I'll pass it over to Declan.
Okay.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah. Well, we're really looking forward to this project. It's going to be a ton of fun. Putting up all these birdhouses is going to be a lot of work. Hopefully we can get it done in 2 to 3 weekends, but all the fundraising and everything is going to be much more than 2 to 3 weekends, and I'm just very much looking forward to all the work that's going to be put into this by a lot of people.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for your leadership on this, and on behalf of those of us who will enjoy the benefits of your work and those of the other scouts who will be supporting you, and of all the businesses that will be rallying around you, and everybody who's going to be sponsoring these birdhouses, it's going to be something we're going to enjoy for years to come. So thank you again, Declan, for taking the time to come visit with us on Foxborough Central.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Jim, your project, which started out
His
4 years
project
ago, your overall project that started out 4 years ago is so much more, and it's really turning into such a nice gem here.
Yeah, it's come full circle on this. It's nice to see it finally being finished.
I will just have to use the phrase, this is just so wicked cool. So I'm loving this project. And folks at home, I hope you love this project too. Until next time, on behalf of all the volunteers at Foxborough Cable Access, including Betty Travers, who's my #1 camera operator, Gary Nash, who's my #1 guy behind the glass, I'm Bob Hickey, hoping you have a great day. Take care.